All right, everyone. Welcome to the fan show after the Tottenham Hotspur 3, Bodø Glimt 1, first leg of the Europa League semi-final victory. It could and should have been more. We were 3-0 up and we were cruising, but we conceded a silly goal with 10 minutes to go. As is Tottenham's want. Of course, that was going to be the way it happened. And that is why at the end of the game, the Bodø Glimt players were celebrating. And the manager was celebrating to their fans because they know they have won all of their European games 2-0 or by 2 goals at home. And they've won something like 30 of their last 37 home European games on their plastic pitch. So Tottenham have put themselves in a good position, but by no means a position that could not be turned around. But this is the fan show where I'll be talking to a number of Spurs fans from around the world. If you want to get involved in a future fan show, please do email Chris on tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. But let's, as ever, start by going to Malta and Melvin. Melvin, good to see you, mate. How do you feel after that 3-1 win? I feel like if I was going to put it in a sentence for myself, it's almost like I called this, and I did. That is the prediction that I had before this game. I said on my channel this morning, and I said on Sonny Snelling's channel yesterday when asked for a prediction, I think Tottenham would concede a goal, but that we would win 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, we were cruising, and it was going to be, people already talking about tickets and flights and all of that, but it's frustrating because, it was a deflected goal, and Bentancur had a really great game. But, this is Spurs. We do it the hard way. We've always done. I still believe we can get, to the final, but we put ourselves in a difficult situation. I think a 3-goal cushion would have been a much more nicer.
I feel like sorry to interrupt, Melvin, but I feel like a 2-goal cushion kind of allows Bodø Glimt to play the way they want to and be patient again.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew will give them the respect that they deserve. I'm sure that they have a 3G pitch at the training ground, and they'll be training on that for the next week. My mind's not even on West Ham. I don't really care about that game. All the focus is going to be on that European tie. On top of that, we played well. We played really good. I loved that he played Richarlison on the left. I thought he was, quite effective. I think we missed being able to cross and find someone in the box, and the link up between Richarlison and Johnson for the goal was brilliant. I was happy overall with the performance of every single player. I thought Bissouma came in and did quite well, which shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it shouldn't be, because he's a Premier League player. He's experienced. He's been with us long enough, and against European opponents, he plays quite well. Bissouma tends to suffer when we're playing high-level opposition, when he's marked, when he has pressure. But when he has time on the ball, when he was able to bully them a little bit physically. So he did quite well, and disappointed to see, Bergvall, to hear about Bergvall's injury. When the lineup came out, I was, he just signed the contract, and very unlucky for him. The substitutions didn't make such a good impact on the game. I thought the atmosphere today was really good.
Yeah, amazing.
Which I'm really, really happy about. I thought to myself, this is the Tottenham I know, the Tottenham I love, and it was just Premier League performances that was really putting the atmosphere down. But when it was a European tie, we could really bring it up together. And in comparison, I hate to mention them, but you just have to see, our neighbors didn't really have the best atmosphere at their stadium, and we were able to switch it on in probably one of our worst seasons, and our stadium, when it's rocking, it's beautiful to see. I was trying to get to the game. I couldn't get tickets. So I'm still happy to be here talking to you, Barnaby, about the victory. I'm happy we have a really strong foot in the tie, and it's going to be it's going to be a fight, to get to the final. It's not going to be easy. If it was, I think the 3G pitch makes it a bit, a bit of jeopardy, a bit of, it's gonna bring up things that the players are not used to, certain elements of the game. But I was disappointed with corners today. I thought we'd do better with corners. We've had, Richarlison, Solanke, Bentancur, Romero. I thought they really should have done better. But other than that, I'm happy. I thought Maddison coming off really changed the game a little bit. I thought he was playing well, which I'm usually a critic of Maddison, but he's been playing well lately, and you can tell that he can really influence the game in key moments. With the goal, with certain passes. Pedro Porro deserves probably man of the match with his quality on the ball. I thought defensively he was solid as well all game, which he's usually a liability. Yeah. And
I'm giving my man of the match to Yves Bassoum. I just thought he was so excellent. Obviously, he doesn't play much. I just want to say one thing, just because I'm watching some of the comments as they come in, and a lot of people getting upset because maybe there's a feeling of, and I would have given this feeling too in my match reaction. There's a feeling of negativity. But what I'm just going to say is, I feel like personally, if you, not you, Melvin, but anybody who has been listening to the experts on Bodø Glimt talking this week on all of the podcasts, the people who know Bodø Glimt, the people who are journalists who've been reporting on them, they have been saying the whole time, especially because their best player Berg was out and they had suspensions, they've been saying that basically the plastic pitch in Bodø Glimt is basically like a 2-goal head start. That is the way it is. So that's where the negativity comes from, I think, in terms of we had an opportunity to get that 3-goal head start and to make Bodø Glimt next week come out at us and play in a way that isn't their comfort zone. Now, for me, that is where the slight negativity comes in. Now, listen, am I happy that we've won 3-1? Yes. Am I happy that we have a 2-goal lead? Yes. But in terms of it potentially being more like a 0-0 than a kind of 1-0 lead, then it's a shame, because one more goal, like I said, would have made it different for them. But I think they're going to be able to play it patient next week. And I'll tell you this, and I know it's going to sound negative, everyone. Nothing would surprise me more than Bodø Glimt being 2-0 up at some point next week. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Tottenham do what they did tonight, score an early goal, and that would really mount the pressure on Bodø Glimt. But it is going to be very, very difficult. So that, I'm afraid, is where the negativity comes from. And I'm sorry if those of you getting angry about it, but the reality is, when you're a Spurs fan and you've been in situations like this time and time again, admittedly not in semi-finals, sometimes you can see the writing on the wall a little bit. And also, I'll say this, I'm constantly wrong, and I will be happy once again to say that I'm wrong. I was wrong today when the team news was out, and I was like, I've got a bad feeling about this because of the team news. Well, I'd say Richarlison was the right pick, and Bissouma was the right pick, so what the fuck do I know?
Yeah, you talk well. I agree with you. It's the years of hurt that kind of make you feel this way with Spurs. I mean, I remember going to what was the team in the Europa League under Jose when the manager was in prison.
Dynamo Zagreb, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the manager was in prison and we had a quite comfortable lead, which we managed to throw away. So this is just years of pain, Barnaby, which I agree with you. So this is why you are cautious, and as well with me, how I feel. I feel a 3-0 lead would have been much, much more comfortable. I'm more worried. I even tweeted at halftime and said, a couple of more and I'll relax. Even when we were 3-0 up, I thought maybe 2 more goals and I will honestly relax. And because it's that type of game, they're going to be playing for their lives. So it's that type of game, and you never know with football. I mean, Ajax happened, so...
Yeah, but look, the good news is, despite kind of allowing them to have possession, the majority possession, like we will next week, we did make chance after chance. So for me, like I said at the end of my match preview, the key thing is, can we get those players back fit, Solanke and Maddison? And that I have to say this, Ange made those decisions to take them off straight away, and that was a brilliant decision, because even though we lost momentum in the game, earlier in his Spurs career, Ange has let players play on after knocks, and it has caused them to be out for longer. So our only chance of them potentially being fit next week was for him to take them off straight away, and I'm glad he did.
Yeah, let's see. hopefully we need them, and hopefully he doesn't do anything daft and play like three at the back, or because I don't think that's the right way to approach the game. I think the right way to approach the game is to get a goal, honestly, to go in with a lead or possibly score. I think corners is maybe the way to do it. I thought we had quite a bit of height, quite a bit of power. I was really disappointed with corners today, honestly.
Yeah. But it was the more direct play that was causing them loads of trouble. They were not expecting that from us for sure. And there were times where Solanke was running the channels so brilliantly. And that's listen, I'm going to give Ange credit for that tonight. Like, he did some stuff with us tonight that we haven't seen very much of, and they were not expecting. Anyway, listen, Melvin, thanks so much for being a part of the show as ever. Let's talk after West Ham. Admittedly, you said you don't really care about it, but give me you got to assume he's going to play the absolute children on Wednesday night. On Sunday, sorry.
Yeah. I would honestly. I thought Sunday against Liverpool he played too many players that are gonna start. So, anyways, see you soon, mate.
All right, Melvin. Thanks, Melvin. Cheers. Bye. Okay, next up, we're going to Australia and Mo. Mo, thank you so much for being part of the show. How are you feeling after that 3-1 win?
Hey, mate. Good. Yeah, look, I think it was a good game. I think we dominated possession for the most part. And I really don't want to bring forward any negativity. I know you mentioned it before, but I think going to that next game, we should be okay. I do know the pundits and the commentary about Bodø Glimt and how good they are at home. You can't underestimate them. I don't think we underestimated them today. So, I'm really looking forward to that game next week.
Okay, and in terms of your confidence levels going into next week, like you said, you don't want to be negative, but did you see enough on the pitch there to think that if the going gets tough next week, that Spurs will put in a shift enough to find a way to get over the line?
That's a good question. I do think we have the grit in us to do it. I think some of the boys today, Pedro Porro, Udogi, I think Romero, they bring that level of energy into the pitch that we need. Even Richarlison, I mean, for the first 30 minutes, I think he was fantastic. He's a confidence player, though, as you know. Solanke and Maddison, I think we absolutely need them. Solanke's hold-up play at the top is just by far unbelievable, and we need that to put the pressure on the defense. There is a concern, though, obviously, with that plastic pitch, but we've dealt with it before at Tamworth. I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think we need to use that experience. I think we need to take that confidence from our game today and just continue the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I think they're interviewing Dom Solanke after the game, which I think can only be good news because you think he probably wouldn't be pushed out there if he was really injured. So hopefully that is good news. What did you see from Bodø Glimt tonight in terms of their ability that makes you think, okay, they're going to be trouble next week?
I'll be very honest with you. It might sound bad. I don't think I saw enough from them that I don't think we can't take it to them at home. I know their home record is pretty good, and like I said, I don't want to underestimate them. I don't think I saw enough to say that we can't go there and we can't beat them. Yes, they are a few players short. There was a few players suspended. I understand that. But I mean the vast majority of the base of the fan base, I feel like we have enough to take it there and get that win. I mean, Europa League has been our biggest confidence booster this season, even though going back to league form it's been absolutely horrendous, obviously. But when we win these games, the follow-up games, we just go there and we take it. I think the Frankfurt game, that second leg was a tough one.
Yeah.
I think going to Bodø Glimt, I just didn't see enough, and I think we have to take it to them. We have to start off strong. You did mention that 2-0 lead they have with that plastic pitch. I get that, but if we start off like we started off tonight, we'll definitely take them. I think we'll have that game in our hands.
I hope you're right, mate. And then I just have to ask you about West Ham on Sunday. What kind of team would you pick if you were Big Ange on Sunday?
Yeah, look, I'd probably pick some of the experienced players just to keep them warm, keep them fit. But the majority of that game, I'm choosing some of the youngins. Bring more on. Give Njai a chance. When he came on last time, I think he was fantastic. Give some of the young guns a chance, but also let the experienced players keep on. That's what I do.
All right. Listen, Mo, thanks so much for being a part of the show. Let's speak again after the weekend, hopefully.
Yes, mate. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Okay, next up, we're going to Matt in the USA. Matt, how are you feeling?
Hey, how you doing, Barnaby?
Yeah, I'm up and down. But I'm still here. It's all good.
I can see. I've seen you going through it for the last 20 minutes of the match, and then the beginning of this show.
Very, very, very frustrated when we conceded that goal, but also being a Spurs fan, there was a slight inevitability about it. Just literally, kind of only let them in our box twice, and they're just literally showing the replay then, and all he had to do was just kind of one wild step over, and then he sends Romero completely the wrong way and gets his shot away. But listen, it happens. And on another day, I will say this, Spurs had a lot of chances. And on another day, one of them goes off the Bodø Glimt guy's ankle and over the top of the keeper. So maybe that'll happen next week.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've shown a really good ability to constantly create chances, especially in that first 45 minutes. With Richie, I had some serious doubts when I saw his name on the team sheet, especially on left wing. I was thinking maybe Ange was doing some kind of 4-4-2 or whatever, and they could just both bang up there. But I'll give Ange his flowers. That first half was really nicely set up. Richie was a real menace out there. He caused a lot of problems. He set up the Brendan Johnson goal. I mean, Brendan Johnson, he chips in with a goal, and then I even said to myself in the 85th minute, I was like, wow, he's still on the pitch. I didn't even know he was there. But it was really good that first half. I think we shown enough to trouble them. We have some experience on the 3G pitch, as everybody knows, and it's all recorded in these these articles about Bodø Glimt. It's a faster pitch. That I think that might actually suit us because we are able to kind of create that space, and then we create those false counterattacks where it's 3-on-3. We have a lot of space where we have Odegaard running at somebody, Solanke running at somebody. I mean, yes, they are a very dangerous team, and you could see their bits of quality in it in those few chances that they had. But I think we shown enough that we could go there with confidence with that 2-goal lead and establish it and show that we're not pushovers. We're not going to be intimidated by this pitch. Big friggin' deal. We've been here before. We've been here in, what was that? Remember when we had to go to Young Boys of Bern back in the day? Yeah. That was a plastic pitch.
That's right. And I think we went 3-0 down.
Yeah, and then but we got the 2 back. I mean, hey, we showed our resolve. We got it off corners. I think one of the previous guests on this show was saying something about take the chances with the corners. If we do take those chances, we do show a more physical nature. So I think we could use that to our advantage. And I have confidence. I am nervous, of course, being a Spurs fan. I felt every emotion you were going through in that last 20 minutes. But I am confident that we could go there and at least get a result that will get us through.
Matt, can I ask you a question? Because you mentioned Richarlison, how well he played. Do you think he went off at halftime because Ange thought we'd done so well down the left and there were chances to really get at that full back? Or do you think there might have been a little injury there or something?
There around the 35th minute, I made a note of it. It looked like he started coming up lame a little bit, and I really got nervous, because we've seen that before with our players, when they start feeling like the back of their leg. But then he made a couple of more runs. He made a couple of more, just quick sprints. So it showed that it didn't have that much damage. So I think maybe Ange saw that and was like, listen, we're 2-0 up. Maybe we could get, Odegaard to run at these guys, just switch it up a little bit.
Tell came on for him, didn't
he? I'm sorry. Odegaard came on later. But I think it might have just been precautionary. And from what I understand, it was a very warm night in London that day, today. So that might have contributed to the cramps. Maybe they just weren't properly hydrated. These things do happen. So I think it might have been a precautionary thing because he did so good in that first half. I am so happy with Richie for that first half. He was great.
Yeah, I really hope that he's not unfit. I have to ask you about West Ham at the weekend. What kind of team would you play, and what's your prediction for that game? I'll tell you now. I think we'll lose.
Oh! I wasn't aware we had a game. I just thought that we were just only doing this European thing. Yeah, I mean, I'll be completely blunt. Sarr, you're going to bring in Sarr. You'll bring in Spence. You'll bring in maybe Davies, Danzo. Maybe you'll put Gray in a position where he won't be like exposed so easily. Maybe playing that right back. It'll be a pretty weak inside, and that's understandable. I really don't want to see any of the players that came off. I would like to see Kulusevski get a good number of minutes because you can see that the form is not there yet. He has still not got his form. His touches are loose. He's not like, it's just, he's like like when you're like a split second behind, like as a footballer, you're like a split second behind. And so he's just got to get that. I feel like if you put him out there, he could catch up a little bit. But yeah, the scoreline is irrelevant as long as we could, get a little form. And, I do want to say real quick, Bissouma was really good. And that scared me. Just like you said, it was very scary at first, but he was a really great player in the midfield. And I think our midfield really did a very good job controlling it and basically dominating the whole thing and just pushing Bodø Glimt around. Very, very strong. I like that. There's the first goal. Used Bissouma basically just like completely like, get off me. It was like some Mortal Kombat stuff. And it was great. It was great. So hopefully we could take this momentum, go into that second leg, and, we could have a nice trip to Bilbao on the cards.
Brilliant, Matt. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. I'll speak to you again soon.
All right. You take care.
Thank you. Bye. Next up to Canada and Tom. Tom, thanks so much for waiting, mate. How are you feeling after that 3-1 first leg?
I'm nervous. It's great to see finally some positivity, and it's great to see, Ange Ball at its once he has a full lineup, the difference that makes. But as every Tottenham fan who, may or may not have a heart condition because of them, that one goal just took the wind out of, I think, all of us. And it's too bad because the atmosphere in the stadium was unbelievable to, killed to be there in that atmosphere. But, going back to some of the previous guests, I think us going there, and I know the plastic pitch and everything, I think it's built for us. Our speed and our transition and our wingers, I think, I'm less nervous because I think we could take it to them if we put a different kind of lineup together. I think if, we put some of our faster wingers on and hopefully Son comes back, we could really, really push them and get some goals.
Okay, and who really impressed you for Spurs tonight, mate?
I mean, Bettinger and Madison. I mean, what a difference when we command that midfield. I mean, what a difference it makes in our game. And Bettinger played the game of his life. Bissouma finally comes back to the Bissouma that we saw 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When Ange first got here, that he can do the job that's asked of him and move the ball around. So our midfield today needs to be commended. Like, they did an unbelievable job. The one that...
Oh, well, that's a new one for me. Tom, try and call back in and I will find you again. Meanwhile, we will go to Canada and Pat. Pat, there you go. Unexpected moment for you coming in now. How did you find that game over there in Canada?
Good. I'll fill in for the other Canadian. Yeah, no, I thought the midfield was really good, man. Like Bissouma. Bissouma was really strong. Like,
it was definitely his best game in a Spurs shirt, wasn't it?
For sure. Like, I mean, at least in the last calendar year. I think it was like the guy who was just on two people ago. He was surprised to see Richarlison and Solanke on, as was I. You were as well. But I do think that like we needed to bring some physicality to them, and they were the guys to do it because we still had speed with Johnson, and then we still had people like Bissouma and Bentinker causing trouble in the midfield, and then we had the creativity of Madison, who all of those guys in the midfield did put in a really good shift. I really hope everything's all right, injury wise.
Yeah.
How
important do you think that is that we have Solanke and Madison fit for that second leg?
I think it's make or break. I don't think I don't think Tell's up to the challenge. I don't think Bergvall's good. I don't think it's a 1-for-1 when Madison's at his best, truly. And I don't think Kulusevski can fill in the role that Madison can. Like Madison can drop deep. He's not a physical player, but he can still drop deep, and he can manage games in a way that I'm not sure Kulusevski's ready to do yet. He's also more of a commanding presence on the right, creeping into the center. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a 1-for-1. So
I'll tell you one thing I could see happening, because it's happened a lot earlier in the season. I could see Kulusevski having an important role to play in that second leg, maybe like popping up with a goal like he did against Rangers, maybe, a very important goal. So it is vital to us that he is fit, but again, he just seems a little yard off it at the moment. And I would actually definitely start him against West Ham on Sunday to try and get some minutes into his legs.
Yeah, I totally would. Yeah, it's going to be tough because it'll be hard to see whether or not he puts in a good performance against West Ham, because I'm not sure how much support he'll have around him, just with all the senior players that'll be rested. Because I can't see, maybe. Yeah, I don't think Solanke will start. It'll probably be Tell. I'm not sure where Son's at.
Maybe Dane Scarlett. Dane Scarlett could start up front.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how far we'll go with just like throwing a bunch of youngsters on. But I mean, we don't really have anything to lose in the league. We just need to keep, legs and limbs and people warm and ready for next Thursday.
Yeah, good comment here from Canned Ham 86. He says, as a Spurs fan for 30 years, I fully understand why us fans are cautious, but Bodø barely laid a glove on us this evening. We nullified them for most of the game. Listen, that is actually true. I will say that. They, like I said, they look kind of a quarter dangerous when they played some 1-2s, but they really only got into the box a couple of times. I guess the interesting thing will be just how different they play in that second leg and how much more confident they are at home, because their away form is absolutely terrible, to be honest. But do I still think that we will make chances away from home? You would like to think so, especially if we've got those players fit, that's for sure. So yeah, listen, if you were, I say this quite regularly, but if you were a neutral fan watching tonight, you would say, oh, Tottenham will go through easily. But then there is just this kind of almost this slightly mysterious side to having to go to the Arctic Circle and seeing how we do that realistically. It's a 16-hour drive from Oslo. So I don't know whether the Spurs private jet will be able to fly in any closer than that. But yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I do find it funny that all these people think that we're going to, it's just going to be a home run on this plastic turf that we never friggin' play on ever. Tamworth was a nightmare. And we did have good players. And that, all the pundits, everybody was still talking about, are you guys going to be okay to manage on AstroTurf? And they're like, well, we're going to go there and give it our best. We're going to go there and give it our best, but we don't have a lot of time to train there. So there's a huge advantage there that they have. I am confident that we can do something, but it's going to be a defensive display. I hope, honestly, I hope we do have, I do hope that we have direct players to start, like, Son. I hope we have like good counterattacking players, because Postecoglou can navigate that, and we've shown it time and time again. We're not just a possession team. We weren't even a possession team tonight. I doubt we even had half the ball tonight. So I think we need to rely on counters, and we're not rely on clinical finishing and those one-offs to get us up. Because I'm not sure it's just going to be this goal display. It's
good point. Tough. Good point here from Connat saying 3-1 removes any complacency next week. Yeah, that's a good point. It does mean that they'll be on their toes, hopefully. Listen, Pat, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Really appreciate it. Let's talk again.
Okay, man. We'll see you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. Okay, next up, over to Steve in good old England. Steve and his son is back as well. Always important. Steve, how are you feeling after that victory?
I think on the whole, if you'd have said to me at the start of the season we'd play Bodø Glimt in the semis, I don't think everyone would take that, wouldn't they? And there was nothing that I saw in that team that made me too fearful. I think the artificial pitch is the big unknown, isn't it? and the fact that, like you said, they're playing God knows where, middle of Arctic Circle, surrounded by polar bears or whatever. So
I mean, I guess sorry to interrupt, but I guess one of the big problems is they had 2 shots and they scored 1 goal. So if they have 10 shots at home, then we could potentially be in trouble. I know it won't literally work like that, but yes, we kept them at arm's length and we played really well. But there's a reason, as far as I'm concerned, that they were celebrating in front of their fans having lost by 2 goals. You don't see that very often, and that shows their level of confidence.
I agree with that. I kind of felt that I think another caller said, and you said it yourself, there's a big drop off, isn't there? When when Solanke and Maddison came off, there was all of a sudden a huge drop off. And I think some of it is psychological with the players, and you felt that they weren't pressing in the same way, that they seemed to doubt themselves a bit. And it was a little bit like, well, do we keep it as 3-0 or do we try to get a 4th? I think on the whole, it was a good performance. I thought Basuma played really well. I think Richarlison, until he came up, played very well. Maddison, I thought, was really good. Pedro Porro was very good. There's no one you could criticise, was there? And I think, compared to other games this season in the league, where it's been a complete debacle, that it was much, much better. It was much more solid. But you have to say the opposition, like I said, if you'd have said at the start of the season that this is our semi-final opponents, God, you'd be like biting people's hands off, wouldn't you?
Of course you would. Of course you would. One thing I saw someone, actually, Jenis, here we go. This is a really good comment. Just got to stay on our feet. Not many on the floor tackles from Bodø tonight. I completely agree with that. What you really notice with them is the 1-2s and how they really want to use the ball it's because of the pace of their plastic pitch. Apparently it's not like the plastic pitch we played on in Tamworth. It's like super quick and they water it as well. So more than any other team, they really know to let the ball do the work. And there were just some times where I think Spurs were not quite as ready as I'd like them to be for the kind of 1-2s where the runner uses the ball like quite a long ball along the ground, maybe like 20 yards, and then keeps going as well. And Spurs were kind of not expecting them to go. And that is something I think we're going to have to look out for in Bodø. But what have I done there? Sorry, I just accidentally removed you. Pressed the wrong thing. But like I said, you can't see us going there and not making chances ourselves. It's just I guess I slightly worry. Will we wait until we're like 2-0 down to start trying to go forward?
I think that if we can, if Sonny's on the bench,
I'm not saying that we'll definitely go 2-0 down. I'm just saying that you can see it where we're so defensive that almost like in that last 10 minutes, we're like, do we stick or do we twist?
I think what it is, Barnaby, we're all so battle scarred, aren't we? We're all kind of like going, like if it's normal, you would go, well, actually, we're much better than them and there's nothing to worry about. But because it's us and because there's a few unknowns, we're slightly in, I wouldn't call it panic mode, but we're in slightly doubting Thomas mode, aren't we? Where we're thinking, actually, what if they score early? Or what if we sit back? Or what if we make a mistake? But I feel that Eintracht were a better team. I just think if we can keep it solid for like the first half and not be too hesitant to go out there and maybe have attack them a little bit as well. I think I really do fancy us to get through. I really do. I'd be so upset if we didn't get through. And and I think I hate to be, well, I don't want to be negative, but the difference in the quality of this competition compared to the Champions League is so enormous, isn't it?
Chalk and cheese.
I mean, you watched that game last night. It's like a different league. It's a different sphere, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. So
you've got to think that if we can't get through against Bodø Glimt, not that it's not an achievement to get here, but you have to think we have to get to the final now.
Yeah. I've just got a quote from Ange on James Maddison and Dom Solanke's fitness. He said, Dom and Madders felt a tweak in his knee, but doesn't sound like anything serious. Dom similar in his quad. Both didn't feel anything too significant, but it felt important to take them off. So, like I said earlier, I'm certainly pleased he did that. What do you think?
Yeah. And that was a good call. I mean, Maddison has been injured before, but when he's been sore. So I'm not sure if sore or a tweak is worse. But anyway, let's not be too cynical. And hopefully they're all fine. And what it showed as well, that when Dominic Solanke isn't our team, we really struggle, don't we?
Totally.
We just don't have that presence up front, do we?
But can you believe that people have a go at Dominic Solanke? Like, to be fair, at least tonight he did have one clear-cut chance, and I don't mean the penalty. I mean that one which he took on his left foot. And if that had gone through the defender's legs, that was going in the bottom corner. But we just don't make him any chances. But when the chances in front of him, like the penalties, he's showed that he is composed, and just the other work he does for the team is just unrivaled.
I mean, the irony was the game that he didn't play against Forest was the game that we actually put in.
Yes,
101 crosses, which we've been crying out for all season. But I'm a big fan of Solanke's. I think it's fair to say that maybe with another manager, he'd be a lot more successful. But with us, I think he'd be a lot more prolific. But I think when he's not there, we really miss him, don't we?
Completely agree.
We really miss him. And I think, to be fair, I'm being very critical of Ange, but I thought today the selection was good.
Yeah, I think we have to give some credit to Ange tonight. I thought
absolutely, and I think that Bissouma played really well. Richarlison played really well. It was a good solid performance, wasn't it? And everyone played well tonight. So, and I want to get to I think let's not build this lot up into some kind of like Arctic Superman. I don't think they are.
I hope you're right.
You never know.
Yeah. All right, Steve and your son, thanks so much for being part of the show. Let's speak again.
Nice show.
Bye-bye. And last but by no means least, the very patient Gary. Gary, can you hear me, mate? Yes,
yes, I can. Yes, I can. 100% positive. I've heard everybody, but no, for me, this time, I don't care what anyone says. Not only do I think we're going to go through, I think we're just going to win the competition. I just think we're just going to do it. Today we played a physical game that I really liked. Midfield, Bissouma, Solanke holding the ball up. We just remember when we played Frankfurt the other week and we went there. We just did a job. I think we just can do that when we go there next week. Simple as that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I would say from my point of view, there's enough in the kind of performance tonight to show that they're very willing to play this different style of football in Europe, and it does work for us.
Yeah. No, I liked it. No, I'm backing them. The goal was disappointing, but I don't care. It's just like, whatever. We're 3-1 up. We've got a 2-goal lead. We're going over away European night next week. No, we'll go through. We will. Be tough. Be some moments where we're going to be holding on to our seats, but we'll be good.
And what is it specifically that makes you feel so confident in terms of the players' performances tonight?
Because of what happened with Frankfurt last week, the other week. They just will turn up. They have to. They just have to, and they will. Yes, there's a drop off when Madders went off, Solanke went off. There's that, but that steel performance that we had in midfield, we've got it. I definitely think I'm backing us. Yeah, we've got it.
All right, and who do you think were the best performers tonight? Who was your man of the match?
Solanke and Bissouma. I've been critical.
Were you surprised by Bissouma? Yeah.
Yes, I was, because I was just like, oh no, what Bissouma's going to turn up tonight? But yeah, he turned up. I liked it. It was good. He did what he was supposed to.
I've just been thinking this, Gary. I don't know if you agree, but I would actually start Bissouma against West Ham as well. And I'd say, if I was Ange, I'd say to him, prove that this isn't just a one-off in Europe and show me against West Ham that you can boss that midfield there as well. And if you do, then you can start next week as well.
Yeah.
He's hardly played any football, so he shouldn't be tired.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, play him. Definitely. Just play him. I don't expect to win against West Ham. It's their, as people say, it's their cup final. But yeah, just play him. As well as playing against West Ham, playing Richarlison as well. Play him.
If he's fit.
Yeah, or at least play him for 45 minutes. But yeah, play him. Do not play Madders and do not play Solanke.
Yeah, they're calling that game against West Ham on Sunday El Crapico. It's basically the fight, the fight for 17th place. Listen, mate, what kind of level? I mean, you're pretty confident about it. What could go against us? What could doubt that confidence for you? Like an early goal there to get their kind of 8,000 fans behind them. Would that do it?
Yeah, we've just got to make sure they do not get an early goal. That will set us as fans, and especially the players, that will give them the jitterbugs. But yeah, just early goal, just shore it up. I was surprised last night with the possession we gave up. I was just like, okay, that's interesting. But
very un-Ange.
Yeah, but we go there, we can just play. Just don't worry about the condition of the pitch, whatever. Just that's irrelevant. Just or it's not as relevant as it needs to be.
Yeah. Listen, Gary, thanks so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, mate. Let's talk again some other time.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having us. Thanks,
mate. Bye-bye. Listen, that's the end of the fan show, guys. But I just want to say one more thing before I finish, is that in reality, you know, yes, I'm gutted that we conceded that goal, but also in reality, if we'd won 3-0, I would still be just as nervous because I'm a Spurs fan. And I just saw on Twitter someone posted that Dynamo Zagreb game where they won 3-0. They didn't score their first goal till the 62nd minute. So that is what it's based on. But listen, it's been a really enjoyable game. Spurs played really well. Ange, in these European games, able to make us play differently. There was some stuff tonight where we did some stuff where Bodø Glimt didn't expect it, a bit more direct, and I enjoyed it. And 3 really good, really important goals. If you'd like to appear on a future episode of the Fan Show, guys, make sure you email tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That is tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com.